8, The Iron Shades, Chapter 20. When we left off, the Solace had decided to go for the Iron Shades. It was a formidable ship before them, and now we see it. The World Eaters had created a funky barricade, but the Iron Shade smashed through it. Pacha, pacha. They weren't worried about the Iron Shade's ship. They were more worried about the Space Marines on the ship. Vorks, ready for defensive broadside. Hodad says they're damaged. We can't do anything. And Vorks gives in and says, okay, let's move away. Let's retreat a little bit, and then see how much the ship can repair in that time. Vorks calls Dragon. How are the guns, bud? Starboard broadside, 20 minutes. Inform us when ready. He hears Dragon tell the crew that their work is sloppy. He doesn't like it how he talks to the crew. They're doing their best. He looks out of the port at the front of the ship. He can see the landers are starting to shoot out from the World Eater ships. And the Blood Angels responding with their own landers towards the planet. Cleto time! Cleto is moving through the ship. This is the moment. This is his chance. The ship is in confusion. The Unchanged are running from station to station, and the Unbroken are preparing for the Iron Shade's boarding parties. The ship is trying to repair itself. He has access until his absence as the surgeon and the apothecarian is noticed. He doesn't have long. He knows the route, where to avoid and who to elude. He's mapped it out for years in advance how he's going to do this. This is his time. He's excited. This opportunity is brought about because of two reasons. The first one is Vorks. He has grown soft and melancholy, and he is wrapped in numbers, obsessing over the numbers. The second reason is the ship. Its decks constantly change layout. He doesn't know mechanics, but he knows living things and how to dominate will and sculpt flesh. How to make sentient creatures his own. To cause them agony and then dole out relief in exact measures so they can serve only him. And the Solace is sentient. The Solace is becoming alive. And if he controls the Solace, he controls the Lords of Silence. You may have noticed that he has changed a little bit. He has swapped out his drill and his sword for injectors and a backpack of canisters. He also has drills and tubing hanging from his armor. The canisters are filled with tinctures from his hidden vaults that only he knows about. He continues. Philemon thinks himself the master of the occult arts. And Slurt thinks himself the most creative alchemist. They always overlook Cleto, for he can do it almost better than them in both regards. Dragon and Garstag sulk and plan, but they don't have it in them to act decisively like him. Because if Vorks is going to be replaced, it would probably be Dragon or Garstag. But Cleto wants it. Cleto wants to be in charge. Cleto moves deeper into the ship. The hidden paths Unbroken don't know. The air is hot and wet. Wet. Pipes throb like a heartbeat. The walls are curled. The walls are curved and tremble. There's no metal here. There is a bit, but that's my fault. there isn't any metal here. Cledo has studied the ship for years, probing and measuring. Sentience has flourished here, burrowed tendrils of awareness throughout the ship. The iron turned to flesh, the adamantium turned to bone. He enters a large chamber. A giant brain hangs from the room. It doesn't say that it's a brain, but it's not a heart. So I'm just going to assume that it's a brain, and he's also using neurotoxins, so I'm just assuming it's a brain. Sorry if it's not. He links up his vials and canisters to injectors on his hands, and he's mobbed by flies. He ignores them. Guide this, and I shall create such carnage in your name that the heavens will reap from it. And he thrusts his child-length injectors, and the plungers slam, pumping out a cocktail of neurotoxins into the brain. And then we go and see Dragon on the gun level. Yes, this is a pirate ship full of cannons. I'm sorry, I didn't know how else to find a picture of a battle level that was, like, obvious. So Dragon is in the gun deck, giving orders. Some howitzers are destroyed. The crew are struggling. Dragon can see the oncoming ship through the cannon holes. He knows the Solace is vulnerable. He didn't mean to work this hard for Vorks, but combat reinforces loyalties. He will do nothing to jeopardize their survival now. Kodad wobbles over. Dragon, we need to fire now. Kodad thinks it's too early, but he says nothing. He sets off all the alarms and klaxons and shouts orders, which then get shouted throughout the rest of the gun bits of the ship. Suddenly the deck is alive and loud and smoky. Dragon can't see how well they're shooting and if they're hitting anything, but he knows that Vorks on the bridge will see everything. Dragon takes the chance to move down the deck and inspect his little guys. He sees a crew working less hard, maybe because they're injured or tired, and he starts to draw his pistol to give them motivation. Suddenly the ship swings around. He's never experienced such wild dislocation. Maybe the reactors have been hit. He shouts, "Keep firing!" He feels sick, like he's been poisoned. It feels like the ship is trying to shake something off its back. A bucking horse, but he probably doesn't know what a horse is, so he probably couldn't make that reference himself. He makes his way back down the poop deck. Is it a poop deck? The gun deck. Back to his data station. It's telling him things. There are boarding torpedoes incoming. The ship's gravity center is all over the place. And there are conduits bursting open and flooding the atmosphere with acidic lubricants. They're getting in, he says, and there's nothing now to stop them. Cledo screams and keeps the injectors pressed in, pumping fear stimulants and mind suppressants. The sensory inload is huge. He didn't realize how powerful the Solace had gotten. He could pull out now and live, or push on and risk his sanity. He pumps more suppressants in. They are connected. Alien matter backfloods into him. He sees the control centers, the ganglia and its connectors, the electric flow of proto-thoughts between organs. He almost knows how to control it, and he reaches out. He finds himself floating in a void. As if he was the Solace itself, With battleships skirting around, he can also feel the crew moving inside him like little tickles, knowing that if he flexed his muscles, he could crush them.
Brother,
He wanted control, though, not this mind merge, and he pumps more chemicals in. The ship must be rendered dormant, quiescent, something to enslave. He's in pain again. The Solace is now aware of him. He's overreached. His last option is a combo breaker of toxins. Anyone else he's used it on has died immediately from psychic damage. He can't see his body anymore as he floats in the void. But he can feel it. The ship is trying to smother him, pumping his poisons backwards into him. This has been a mistake. Suddenly he makes his finger twitch on that last trigger. He makes it. The ultimate concoction of neurotoxins suddenly pumps into the Solace, causing it to jerk away suddenly and the systems shut down, ventricles bursting. Cleto gets yeeted across the room. He's been yeeted. His injectors ripped out. The Solace screams, thrusters in full burn, spiraling the ship. The ship is spiraling out of control. There are thuds along its flanks. He doesn't know if they're explosions or landing parties. In a human body, those toxins should be burning towards the heart and choking it. But he doesn't know where the heart is. He never found it. He's failed badly. He must find the heart. In the bridge, the roof collapses. Near Vorks, everything is exploding. The signals are making no sense. Atmosphere is rushing past him as if there's a major breach, but there's no reports. The Solace is in agony. He feels as Dragon did, poisoned and slow. Iron Shades are on board, but Solace is travelling incredibly fast. The warp drive numbers are clicking faster and faster. He's going for the emergency stop button. It's over here. He wants to press it, shut everything down, flush the tubes. But the roof falls! Oh no! Destroying the button. Oh no! He can smell the warp. He calls Dragon. Gallows man, he says. But before he can continue, a beam hits his head. And he is passed out. Flashback to the start of the book, where this is where we find him. And that's the end of chapter 20. Thank you! Like and subscribe!